What is up, everybody? I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. Tons of information to get into today. I wanted to start with this, though. So, looking at price action of Bitcoin, I actually always find it interesting to occasionally kind of, pull these kind of vertical lines that represent the halvening dates for Bitcoin for the block rewards. And kind of analyze, potentially where we could be at within the cycle. I know probably most people watching, this video might not, maybe you do, maybe you don't hold Bitcoin, but I still look at Bitcoin as kind of an indicator across the entire ecosystem. One thing that's interesting is if you kind of look at the halvening dates and in relation to the market bottoms, the previous market bottoms prior to the next halvening dates. Right here, I think it's like 17 or 18 months. Right here is about, I think, 18 months. This is 17 months. And, if you kind of use the same time frames, you can look back and say, hey, we might have bottomed at, as one indicator, given that we've had kind of these historical time frames that have, stated some similar metrics. Another thing also real quick, this is like a major, and I posted this on Patreon multiple times, but major level of resistance at this point in time would be the 50 EMA and the 200 week. Obviously, you can see right now we reached out, we've wicked off of it both times as resistance. This is kind of me personally, one of the things that I've been waiting for to see if we correct a little bit down lower. I think we also have bearish divergence. If you look at the RSI, which is essentially just a metric for overbought and oversold. If we correct down lower, I'm looking at this as kind of an opportunity for potentially one last major load up for me personally within this space, within some of the assets that I may have missed that I didn't buy back in the June or July time frame. Maybe some AI stuff, maybe some zero knowledge proof stuff as well. Just be cautious out there. I mean, like I said, until we break above the 50 and the 200 and start holding them as support, we have murky waters ahead. So not surprised that we saw this kind of correction downward. All right, moving forward, Wrath of Kahneman putting out a great tweet. So from November through January, Ripple formally announced several new corporate payment partners and ODL users in addition to AI and NFT initiatives, including MFS Africa, FOMOPay, TravelX. Understandably, get the views, but pay attention to the holiday announcements too. You can see a bunch of different new corporate payment partners. You can see new ODL users as well, or on-demand liquidity users, which can utilize XRP, obviously. All right, this came across today or yesterday. American FinTech Council selects Phil Goldfeder as their CEO. Of note within this is that Phil is still a member of Cross River Bank. So this says Goldfeder brings over 2 decades of leadership in the public and private sectors, including the United States Senate, New York State Legislature, and most recently as head of global public affairs at a leading fintech company, which is Cross River. Cross River Bank is like one of the oldest banking partners of Ripple, going back all the way to 2014. One of the first U.S. banks that will use the Ripple protocol to offer its business and personal banking customers real-time international payments between the United States and Western Europe. With Ripple, Cross River Bank will integrate the most advanced settlement infrastructure for instant, secure, compliant, and dramatically more affordable cross-border money transfer services. I found an interview with Phil from, I believe this is the FinTech Cowboys on LinkedIn. And just real quick, I'll play, they obviously have plans for crypto, which you'll see here in a second, but I'll play this verbiage for you guys as well.
I think at this point, it's undeniable that crypto is becoming part of the mainstream banking industry, right? With what we've seen with the pandemic and how that's accelerated the development of financial services, particularly being delivered through digital channels, crypto is becoming mainstream, right? And I think there's a lot that we could provide. And, you'll be hearing news as soon as we're ready to announce it. But I think there's a lot of places where traditional banks.
You're like dangling it in front.
Look, there's a lot of places where traditional banks could play, right? There's a lot of ways that traditional banks, or banks that are in the middle of banking and tech, could really play in the crypto space.
So yeah, certainly Cross River is forward thinking from a crypto standpoint. You can see they have multiple crypto solutions as well. One of the kind of the OGs of RippleNet. Cross River Bank hiring crypto compliance chief from, I should say that video interview was from last year. Cross River Bank hires crypto compliance chief from Robinhood. This was in 2022 as well. This is Robinhood's former crypto compliance officer or chief compliance officer for crypto, Malneki, who also previously worked at Ripple. Malneki was a regulator and America's head of regulatory affairs at Ripple, moved to Robinhood, and is now at Cross River Bank. I also stumbled across this, came out a few days ago, or at least the public portion, which is published in, maybe this is kind of a republishing, which you'll see here in a second, but this is dealing in XX Network. Obviously, you guys know, sponsored by XX Network for the research around privacy, digital sovereignty aspects. I think it's a really cool initiative, though, that maybe hasn't been dived into enough on my channel yet. But this is a tweakable sleeve wallet, a novel sleeve construction based on tweakable hash functions. I'm not going to get into the abstract here, but there is a more of a I guess I'll say descriptive thread here that I'll get into in a second. But this is that sleeve wallet generation tool, quantum secure recovery phase, and then a standard recovery phase on as well. But this quantum secure recovery phase you're going to learn about here in a second. Interestingly enough, and of note within this, if you look at the authors within this, you've got David Shum, obviously godfather of crypto. You've got Mario, and you've got another Mario here. The first Mario is actually not directly a member of or associated with XX, but is Tokyo Institute of Technology as well as IOHK. If you're not aware of what IOHK is, they are the blockchain engineering company responsible for building the Cardano blockchain. The other Mario is a dev within the XX ecosystem, and this dives more into the tweakable sleeve functionality here. So I'll read this thread to you guys real quick. Essentially, Sleeve is a mechanism to allow users to securely move funds from any chain to a quantum secure one, and it's potentially helpful for hacks such as this happened back in May of 2022. A quick dive so you don't have to read the whole paper. The idea is straightforward. Users, when generating a cryptocurrency wallet, will also generate a fallback key inside of that wallet. Later in time, a user can reveal that fallback key and prove that they are the true owners of the wallet. For example, Alice generates a fallback key pair, which incorporates a random secret X value. She then hashes the WOTS public key along with X and obtains an elliptic curve secret key. Alice can now sign transactions using ECDSA. If a quantum computer subverts the wallet and gets the ESDCA secret key, Alice simply has to submit her WOTS, PK, and X. Doing so proves that she is the true owner of the wallet and can roll over the wallet amount to a quantum secure chain. Why is this construction, I know there's a lot of verbiage within that, useful for hacks like this one? Well, OpenSea can and should allow for setting where NFTs worth more than, let's say, $50,000 must require the use of the fallback key to be transferred to another address. With a fallback of this type, users can still comfortably use a MetaMask hot wallet for regular day-to-day transactions with the comfort of knowing that their valuable assets remain safe since the fallback key needed to move these assets is in cold storage. So essentially this is a quantum-resistant sleeve wallet on top of a normal wallet that you would generate. The thing that I find really interesting in this is, potential use cases around programmability from a user standpoint, where you might be able to have kind of your normal wallet aspects that you utilize, and you might be able to set rules in place that say, hey, and I'm not saying this is definitively what they're doing, I just find it interesting. Hey, if somebody tries to access more than $5,000 worth of my funds or $10,000 worth of my funds or maybe even $1,000 worth of my funds, I want it kind of triggering kind of that fallback sleeve wallet that I have to verify that I'm me and that I'm the one that's making this transaction before those funds move. So I do think it's a really interesting use case. I wanted to bring that up because this just came out earlier this week. So, all right. And on top of that, Project Tourbillon, obviously Bank for International Settlements, Innovation Hub, alongside eCash 2.0, XX aspects, MixNet aspects, delving out into this as well if you guys weren't aware. All right, IMF and Bank for International Settlements put out two really interesting documents today, which kind of lead me to the verbiage or the narrative that's coming out in the near future. So policy priorities for the G20, this is from the IMF. One Earth, one family, one future. And this certainly ties in central bank digital currencies. So most IMF members are now actively evaluating central bank digital currencies or CBDCs that could bring substantial benefits, such as more resilient payments in disaster-prone countries and greater financial inclusion. India has conducted an in-depth assessment of CBDCs, which can inform similar studies elsewhere, accelerating digital progress worldwide. The IMF's work on crypto assets is particularly focused on macro financial policies. Now, the Bank for International Settlements one, you see a total narrative shift now from Augustin Carstens, who is obviously the head of the Bank for International Settlements. And this is a speech given today at a Singapore event, it looks like. This literally says, hold on, let me get into here. It's literally calling crypto essentially just a more efficient monetary system. So they're talking about this unified ledger being a digital infrastructure with the potential to combine the monetary system with other registries of real and financial claims. It would need to be a public-private partnership with a clear division of roles, where the central bank is tasked with underpinning the trust and money. Such a ledger allows for the use of smart contracts and composability. A smart contract is a computer program that executes conditional if/then statements and quote-unquote while commands. Composability means that many smart contracts covering multiple transactions and situations can be bundled together like money Legos. It's pretty crazy, though, to see just the crazy narrative shift within this, because how are we to take advantage of these technologically superior forms of money? So they're literally calling blockchain, distributed ledger technology, and crypto, as a whole, with what it represents, with how that narrative shift occurred. Super skeptical a few years ago, scams a few years ago, right? And then we start seeing, we're just going to do proof of concepts. And now you literally see the Bank for International Settlements saying it's a technologically superior form of money, which we've all known all along. And this even gets into leveraging public goods, tokenized deposits and CBDCs, opening the door for more efficient payments arrangements in business settings or for larger purposes. That gets into real estate, escrow process for buying a house. It gets into smart contract aspects. Thinking even further ahead, we can envisage both assets and multiple regulated entities, including commercial banks, payment service providers, and asset registries in coordination with the central bank on one unified ledger. The idea is to put complementary things, such as central bank money, commercial bank money, and digital assets in the same place so that they can interact in efficient ways, like applications on a smartphone. They are literally talking about mass adoption of crypto assets into the traditional system, as well as central bank digital currencies, talking about stable coins on top of this as well. Facilitating the existence of CBDC and tokenized deposits would provide the technological representation of money that further innovation needs. Bringing them onto a unified ledger would have a catalytic effect on further innovation conducted by the private sector. The goal is to build a future monetary system that is adaptable and enables innovation by the private sector in a safe and sound way, in whichever form that might come. Wow, talk about a narrative shift. Technologically superior forms of money. Well, we've known that for quite some time. Did want to give a huge shout out to anybody that is in the Hedera ecosystem. It appears now that we are just going to be hitting 1 billion transactions per month at a regular basis. This is app.dragonglass.me. Great statistics on here. Transaction volumes over top of the Hedera network. You can see here in January, 790 million. And now in February, as of overnight, last night, we surpassed 1 billion transactions. It'll be really interesting. Account creation also up. 243,000 accounts created in January, 190,000 this month. If you take that to where we were at last year, it's essentially double any month that we were dealing with last year. Transaction value slowly kind of rising, but you have this kind of one outlier month here. Something certainly going on, probably within testing there. But yeah, it's just awesome to see. A billion transactions per month is pretty ridiculous. It'll be crazy to see if we can get to a billion transactions per week. I found this a little bit comical. Lloyd's Banking Group hits back at criticism over savings rates from consumers, while in tandem, Lloyd's bankers to share a 446 million bonus pot, which is the largest in 4 years. Talk about priorities and inclusion. From the banking perspective, it's kind of the exact opposite, right? They're hypocrites saying that they can't do, they're doing all that they can within savings rates, but they're giving these gigantic bonuses to all the bigwigs within the banking group. NBA entering a strategic partnership with fintech company Ant Group in China, surrounding itself around joint marketing campaigns and digital collectibles. Certainly going to probably be dealing in NFTs, I'm sure. And then I found this today as well. So this is Vault.id. Now, if you're not familiar, Vault.id has multiple different products, including self-sovereign identity, NFT kit, IDP kit, wallet kit, storage kit. They've got multiple, kind of big partners, whether that be Ocean or the European Quality Assurance, Higher Education, or the government of Luxembourg or Boston Consulting Group. Multiple products as well. You can see across the ecosystems that they work with. Works across all ecosystems, or works across ecosystems. Polygon, Near, Solana, IOTA, Optimism, Ocean, Ethereum, European Blockchain, Arbitrum, Tezos, Flow, Avalanche, IOTA, etc., etc. What I found interesting is their self-sovereign identity kit, infrastructure for developers, European Commission. You can kind of look at who's involved within that. Decentralized identity and the Interledger Protocol by Vault ID, funded by a grant for the web, the Mozilla Foundation. And this is talking about utilizing the Interledger Protocol in the context of identity data monetization. A way to facilitate such payments as it can be directly integrated into data exchange flows based on globally standardized protocols like OpenID Connect. For the purpose of this white paper, focusing directly on monetization flows and the direct monetization aspects of hybrid models which play to the strengths of the Interledger Protocol. So lots and lots and lots of ILP aspects within here. So just thought that I would bring that up. David Schwartz changing his background header on Twitter to this image, which is when a scrappy financial startup, it says Ripple, when a scrappy financial startup takes on a web of corruption and betrayal to bring instant payments to the masses, they learn that the cost of disrupting the status quo is higher than they could have ever have imagined, forcing them to decide between their vision and their survival. Very interesting. And last but not least, I am going to be doing an AMA with Alliance Block tomorrow from the Genfinity Twitter account. If you guys feel like asking some questions, we do know that there was a hack of Bonk, which resulted in Alliance Block essentially issuing an entirely new token, which is going to be coming about, I believe, this week from the claiming process. Obviously not financial advice, and be really careful that you don't get scammed when you go and try to click on certain links, because there's going to probably be multiple scam links. I'd only follow official channels. If you guys have questions for Alliance Block, I put this tweet out here. You guys can go and ask questions or join the Twitter space and ask questions down in the chat as well. So tons of information today, guys. Apologies for kind of the long drought, but glad to be back, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you when I talk to you. Thanks. Bye.